welcome to Magical Journey. I am your host, Daniel Cahoon. And before we get started today, of course, if you're used to seeing my show, you know I do some housekeeping beforehand. Let me just say to start with, if you have not joined my Facebook group on Facebook, obviously, uh, then shame on you. Come on, guys, be with the cool kids for 5 minutes, okay? Join the group. It is obviously Magical Journey. All of my social media is under Magical Journey. You will also find me on X, on magicaljourney.com, the website. Imagine that. And also, you will find me on the Tick of the Talk. And there is also, for those of you who are not into the whole group experience on Facebook, I do have a page where I keep up to date with everything and let you guys know what's going on too. So you can just cruise on to there and not have to deal with all the group stuff if you're not really into that. I totally get it. And of course, I am on Insta as well. And just in case you have any questions, yeah, I'm on YouTube as well, where you should be right now if you're seeing this. Um, Let me just say that I read this guest book today, and I am going to tell you it was an addictive read. I read it like I had to stop in the middle of it to go to bed. Eventually, it was farther than the middle, and I woke up the next morning. The first thing I did was grab the book, and I realized like at the end of the page, I was like, oh crap, I've got to find, I've got stuff I've got to get done. So the book was extremely good. We'll talk about the book. We're going to ask some questions about the book today. And who is this author? You're probably asking. Well, I'm about to introduce him now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, spirit medium Daniel M. Jackson.
There I am. Yeah, I made it.
Hey, hey. So
Hey.
before we get too terribly into it, I want you to um, let people know what links you've got, what promotion stuff you've got going on there, and a little bit about you.
Sure. The links I have, if they're looking for me or they want to get a hold of me, like if they want to get a reading with me, they can. I do two different kinds of readings. One, whereas if you have an ability and you're not quite sure what to do with it, I will guide you with that. I myself am not a mentor for other people, but I can refer you to someone that I trust very much. But I can get you started on what you need to know and what you need to do, because this type of life is not for everyone. It is not for everyone to be able to do. As I explained to people, you can't just go to take a class and I'm going to take an intuition class and now I'm going to be a psychic medium. It doesn't work that way. You either have this or you don't. And I know a lot of people just have a fascination with it, but this is an ability that comes through with your soul. And so, if you need that type of reading, we can actually have that, and it'll be about 2 hours, no problem. Or sometimes I do another reading where people do want answers for themselves, and I give them peace of mind and clarity, and I give them direction for their lives. But there's also a type of reading I don't list it on there, but people can have this kind of reading if they just want to come in and they want to talk about spirit. They want to know information about spirit, the truth, because there's a lot of things out there that just are not the truth. So if they want to book a reading with me, they would just tell me what they're looking for. And I will help them with that. And they can find that at www.spiritmediumdaniel.com. It's one long word. If they want to, they can join my group I have on Facebook. It's called the Spirit Medium Daniel Group. I'm very vocal in that group, as well as some of the other members are very vocal. You can come in and ask any question that you want. Now, with that, I will let you know I don't let people come into the group who are going to be a bunch of rabble rousers and who are going to cause a bunch of trouble within that group. Um, as with anything, as you'll find out during this interview, I get touched on my face for yes and no answers by spirit. When I get touched on my face, it's across my forehead and it feels like a finger going across my forehead. That is a yes. When I get a no, it feels like a tear running down my face. All I have to do is look at your name, and then I will ask them, is this person going to be a problem on my group? And if I get a yes, then you know what you get? Delete. That's what you get because I don't mess around. I don't want people coming in and disrupting everybody just for your own pleasure of wanting to be a disruption to everyone. Yeah, you can find me there, the Spirit Medium Daniel group on Facebook. If you want to if you do want to check out my book and check out why everything happened to me and for me, you can check that out on Amazon. I sell the book for $8. The paperback is $8. The ebook is $6.49, 46 cents. Soon to have an audiobook out because everyone who reads the book or has heard my voice keeps telling me that when I read the book, it sounds like you are telling me the story. So we figured it's time to put out an audiobook. And everyone keeps telling me I have a good voice for that. So if you want to find that, you can go to Amazon and punch in the search bar Daniel Jackson, The New Beginning, My Awakening as a Spirit Medium, and you'll see a picture of a bright white light with a man walking into it, and that man is me. And it's a chronological story about how everything happened to me and for me, along with the end of the book is chapter 12 called The Basics, and these are messages that were brought to me in a channeled way. These messages are coming from archangels, essentially coming from God, helping us to be the better versions of ourselves while we help other people to become the best versions of themselves as well. So yeah, you can find it on Amazon. Um, I am on Instagram. What do they call it now? They call it something else. I don't know. I'm just on Instagram. You can find me. Post on there. I don't post a lot on there. I do post a lot on the Spirit Medium Daniel group. You'll find me there more. And like I said, I'm very accessible on that. If you ask me a question, I'm going to answer it. And or you can just friend me on Facebook if you want to. I'm pretty simple. And or if you have any other questions for me, you can also email me at my personal email. It's my personal email. It's dmj66 at hotmail.com. Yeah, I didn't come up with a cool name. I used my initials because, I mean, maybe I should have come up with something like, "Hey, I'm Big Boy," or something like that, but I didn't do it. So yeah, pretty simple. But yeah, you can find me pretty much everywhere. You can find me all over YouTube. All you have to do is put in Spirit Medium Daniel Jackson, and you will see all the videos, all the other shows I have been on. But today we're here. Today we're on a magical journey. I hope you're going to pay attention because you need to.
Absolutely, absolutely. There is so much in this book, and if some of us I know that are going to be watching this will resonate with the book highly. So, and when I say that, I mean highly, because there's several of us that are kind of reluctant um, and struggling with the path
Sure,
at times.
sure.
So,
And that's why I wrote it the way that I did, so that people could connect with it.
right.
Because you got all these spiritual gurus out there and all these supposed, uh, I'm higher on the journey than you are type of people. We're all on our own individual journey, our own individual path. We're all in a different place within that journey and that path than others are. Yeah, I get that. But we've all experienced a lot of the same things. We're all been going through a lot of the same things. And we need someone who's out there who's going to tell us the actual truth and not all using all these mumbo jumbo spiritual words and all that stuff. I say in a plain and simple way for everyone so they can
Mhm.
understand it.
You really do. The book is almost like having a conversation with you. In a sense. Uh, there's some things that you mentioned right off the bat in the book that I found really interesting. Uh, but before I get into the one, I really want to talk for a minute about the experience with uh, the rocking chair and your grandmother.
Oh, yeah.
That was really one of the more that early on experiences, right?
Yeah, that was in my I was in my 20s. Yeah,
Oh wow.
I was in my mid-20s when that one happened. Yeah,
What was the first
it was a little strange, but yeah. But
yeah,
she's doing okay.
what was the first thing that went through your mind whenever it really when you realized what was going on?
2 words. Holy shit. Yeah, so I was in my grandfather's room. My grandfather lived with my mom and dad and I. Um, I was working with my mom and dad. My parents owned a bar, and I was the manager at the bar. Um, they asked me if I wanted to stay in the apartment that it was above the bar, but I figured if I'm gonna stay there, I'm gonna be bothered all the time by people. So I was already living at home with them. I said, "You know, why don't I just stay here to make it easier so I don't have to be bothered all the time?" So while living there, again, my grandfather lived with us. My grandmother had passed away at this point. Um, my grandfather kept a lot of memorabilia in his room, pictures and notes my grandmother wrote to him, all these things, and he was away on a sort of vacation. He was visiting my uncle for about 2 weeks. What he was really doing was giving my mom and dad a break for a while. Um, and when he was there, I was just hanging out, in his room. I just the smell of my grandfather's room, I can still picture it today, it was just my grandfather, and I love my grandfather dearly. And so my sister had come down for a visit as well, and she had this pet, ferret with her. It's a long, fuzzy looking rat thing, and she kept it in a cage, and while she was there, the cage was in my grandfather's room because it was secluded and quiet. So I was in the room, I was going through the pictures, I was looking at everything, and I had a sense of calmness in that room where I was laying on the bed looking at the pictures, and I got sleepy, and I was starting to fall asleep. Then I heard this squeaking noise, and I thought it was the ferret. And the ferret's name was Pia, P-I-A. It stood for as my sister called it, pain in the ass. Uh, so, because this thing was. So it was making all this noise, and I kept picking my head up and going, "All right, Pia, knock it off. I'm trying to go to sleep here." And it happened a couple of times. And then one time I went to sit up and look. And when I did, it was actually the rocking chair, and the rocking chair was squeaking and it was moving back and forth. And when I looked at it, my grandmother was sitting in it. Now, at that time, that was my grandfather's room, but before that, it was just another bedroom in the house. There was no rocking chair in it before that. Like my grandparents used to come down and visit all the time, and they would stay in that room, but it didn't have a rocking chair in it. But it was where my grandfather was. So yeah, she was sitting in the rocking chair, moving back and forth, and I just had that look on my face, like I was frozen there in time, and she was just rocking back and forth, just rocking. She wasn't looking at me at first, and this instance took probably maybe, I don't know, 30 seconds. It was just she was rocking back and forth, and then her head just kinda turned and looked at me, and when she did, her eyes just got real big, like she was as surprised to see me as I was of her, and when she saw me, she just disappeared.
Mm,
Now, they are I know, being who I am now, sometimes some spirit they are all very aware, but she was very aware at the moment that I could actually see her.
mhm,
They don't know that some of us can see them. They get it a little bit, but being around 1,000,000 people and you have one person in that 1,000,000 people who can see you, it catches them off guard as well. And it caught her off guard. Now, I was I was always called sensitive throughout my life. Both my sister and I were more sensitive than my other two brothers, but they witnessed things as well. But I was more sensitive to it, and that's what people describe that. Oh, you're sensitive to the. It's not that you're just sensitive. You have something, but you're just not quite aware of what it is that you have. or you haven't learned to use it yet. So I was when I saw that, yeah, it really did freak me out. But then after that, I was when she was gone, I wasn't like, "Oh my god, I was just like, "Okay, that was different," you know? It was but not different to the point of some of the other things that I have seen. It's just this was another occurrence that was happening in my life. But yeah, it was, that was the only time that I've ever seen her materialize in front of me. Uh, I smell her when she's around me sometimes, but, even out of all the spirit that I see, I still see my mom. My mom had passed away about 3.5 years ago. I still see my dad. My dad passed away 17 years ago. I still see my grandfather. My grandfather passed away, I was, like, 35 years old, so I'm 57 now. Um, but out of all the spirit that I see, even I see some of my pets as well. I see them all the time, uh, but I never see my grandmother. But I know she is around me because I do get a sense that she is around me, and I smell her. But there's something going on there that she just doesn't want me to see.
That's one of the things that I wonder about sometimes because I have people around me and know people who are very gifted and they can see and communicate and just to hear they get their one of them in particular is auditory is extremely sensitive. Uh,
You got 2 people standing behind you right now.
that would not surprise me. There's like you'll find this room is especially is very active all the time.
Yeah, there's an older gentleman standing behind you. He's got like that, uh, he's so his hairline is very thin to the middle part. Everything else is kind of bald, and it's like they used to do back in the '50s, where they put that stuff in the hair and slick it back. And then
Mhm.
he's standing next to a woman. She's got blonde hair, like a big wavy curly blonde hair. He's very tall though. He's like 6'7".
Wow,
Yeah.
wow.
Sorry, I just say it.
No, that's very interesting because it sounds a lot like my grandfather, although I don't think he was that tall. No, he towered over the rest of the family.
Yeah, he's towering over this woman.
Yeah, yeah. Um, it's very interesting, because the woman, there's a couple of people that that could actually be too. Um, the blonde hair makes me think it's probably my mom, which would be really interesting because that would be her grandfather, and
Uh,
he was always
correct.
very
That's
he was
exactly who it is.
yeah he
So,
was always very
as you were
protective.
saying that to me, they were touching me. I kinda moved my head because I wanted to get a clear signal of, not that I don't get a clear signal ever, but they were touching me. Yes, that's exactly who it is.
Does not surprise me at all. Mom is my grandfather was extremely protective of my mother on
They're both
on
actually being, extremely protective of you right now. Um,
mhm,
both your mom and he are both spirit guides for you.
mhm. There's right now with Samhain just have like still the going on. Um, they're ex the whole family seems to have like converged this year. I don't know what that was about, but it was interesting, very interesting, and it's still very interesting. Uh, the thing that really made me kind of go, wow, and raise an eyebrow was your experience with something called the Milky White Shadows, was the way you
Oh,
described that. That is something that I have only heard about maybe once or twice with people describing something as milky white.
yeah, yeah. It was, my girlfriend and I were watching TV, in my bedroom. She was at the foot of the bed, I was at the other end. We were watching Rocky Horror Picture Show, it was her favorite movie. Yeah,
Love it.
And,
Love
we were
love it.
just watching TV, and then the the closet was closed, okay? So it had these, like, little doors that kinda, like, opened, like shutters type of thing, and, but it was closed, but something came out of the closet. It was probably about 4 feet long, 3, 4 feet long, and about 2 feet thick, but it was very milky looking. Now, I can still picture it in my mind even though this was, I don't know, 23, 24 years ago. But there were, like, little holes in it, like, little deviations in it. Not that
Mhm.
I could see through it, but it was like it wasn't perfectly formed. It had little edges to it, but it was kinda snake looking, but it was thick. And it moved itself out of the closet, and it came across the room, and it just came across, and then it got about all the way over right to where right past the TV, and then it just disappeared. But then my girlfriend just turned around and looked at, because 'cause I'm watching it, but I didn't know if she saw it because I'm used to seeing things all the time, and she just turned around, looked at me, and she said, "Did you see that?" I said, "Yeah, I did." She said, I said, Let's get out of here for a little while." So yeah, it was something that was just, again, it was different than a lot of the other things that I had been seeing. Uh, I don't really see much of the same thing all the time, although I do have some same spirit that visit me all the time, and I know why they are visiting me all the time. But yeah, I don't ever really see the same thing all the time.
Yeah, yeah, that particular one stood out to me because, like I said, I only know maybe one or two experiences where I've heard people mention something that was milky white in color.
Yeah,
Um,
it wasn't see through by any means. It was actually
Yeah,
it was very right there, which is and it was only well, let's see. I'm sitting in a room now. It was probably, I don't know, about 6 or 7 feet away from me at
mm,
the time. Yeah.
wow. Did you get like, any sensation from it? Did you?
Yeah, I think I crapped my pants.
No doubt, because that was fairly early on. So,
Yeah, that was
uh,
pretty early on. I mean, I've seen spirit, like I said, ever since I was 3 years old. But again, it was all the time. I've had these experiences all the time. It wasn't anything new to me. It's just a different experience each and every time. It's just, it wasn't until, like, when I got into finding out that I was actually a medium, but prior to that point, that I started seeing, more of a repetition of type of spirit that were visiting me, and on a frequent basis. Um, but but since becoming a medium, I the things that I see now are much different. I see them, much differently now. I see more, full-on people, walking around in front of me or wherever I'm at. Uh, as we were talking earlier, uh, spirit isn't just in my home, they're everywhere I am. So I'm not going to say I'm haunted, but I am. So I have an ability to see spirit, but spirit are coming to me for a different reason, and that's why I see so many spirits. But not all of them are completely aware of me being this guy right here. They see me differently. Like when spirit sees you or sees anyone else, they see your body frame and they see a light inside of you, and they see the other part of you, your soul inside of you, and they know that you're just a regular person, okay? But with me, they don't see that. They just see I look like a figure to them, a human figure with hands and a head and all that. but you can't really see any facial features with me. I look like I'm just pure light with them. So, and that's one of the reasons why they are coming to me, and that's why, but they are not always coming to me either in a sense where I see them. I see into what we call the earthbound realm or the low energy realm, and I'll see a parade of people that looks, I can look off from it and I can see it coming from, you know, hundreds of miles away, thousands of miles away, coming down this what looks like a road, but it's a parade of people, and they're walking past me, and they're all interacting with each other, talking to each other. I was watching it last night, and then they'll walk past me and they'll do this, and then they'll just keep on going about their way because they see it standing there, but they're not quite sure what it is because I don't look like anybody else. But yeah, the experiences I have are all the time different. Uh, some of the spirit that I see, I could explain to you. Some of them I can't because they don't look like anything here on this world. So it is difficult at times. Uh, but um, but yeah, they're just I just have experiences that are different from everyone else.
Right, right. As it is very evident in your book as you continue to go through. Uh, the one of the things that I want to touch on that you mentioned was the fact that you it sounds almost to me like you went through almost a period of initiation in a sense of
Yes.
we need to cultivate this and not just bring it on them at once and be like surprise.
Yeah. Because I don't like to use the word calling.
Hmm.
Um, but I have something else that I'm supposed to be doing that is different than other mediums. I have something within me that no other medium has. So I had to go through something in order to be able to have the connection I do, to be able to see, hear, feel, communicate with them as much as I do. Uh, Throughout my entire day, throughout my entire life. I don't ever not see spirit ever. Um, and that is something that is hard to sometimes deal with. And it was in the beginning. Now I'm just used to it. But yeah, it was sort of an initiation type thing where they were finding out to see if I was able to do this, if I was could be trusted to doing this. So yeah, they tested me in the very beginning. My guides were letting all these experiences happen that were very, to the least of saying it, frightening, especially even for me. Uh, but they were trying to see what I was going to do next, if I was going to move forward with this, or was I just going to go, oh my God, and be so afraid, or I was just going to go, nah, just something else that I'm seeing and let it go. So yeah, they were actually testing me to see what I was going to do next, and I being me, I'm a researcher of everything for myself, not for. I don't research other mediums and other stuff. I don't follow other mediums. I don't pay attention to what they do, and the reason I don't is because I don't want what they do to influence what I do. Um, but I try to find out what is going on with me, especially even like in my I'm diabetic, I have a medical condition, so I'm always looking to find out what I can do to improve my health. But with this, that was a little bit harder to do because I mean, even though we had the internet, but the internet doesn't, on the internet, I'm an Italian model, that type of thing, that it doesn't tell the truth of everything on there. So I found a lot of things that I now know were inconsistencies. I know what they were talking about was not the truth. Like when we were searching the internet for answers, because my wife went away on vacation for 2 weeks, and for those 2 weeks, I saw everything you could ever imagine that was in a scary movie happening in my home. By the time she got home, she told me about her adventures, and I told her about mine. She even at that point was questioning our relationship because of the type of things that I was telling her. Now, she was a nurse at the time, and she figured because of my diabetes, maybe my diabetic medicine that I was taking was causing some type of diabetic psychosis. But within 3 days of being home, she started experiencing some of the same things, and that changed her tune completely. So we were looking for answers to try to figure this out. We went online. I thought, "Oh, let's you can put salt around the room, and that'll keep the negative energies from bothering you." Uh, yeah, the only thing that does is make your room salty. Um, you can use holy water. Holy water is water. A man cannot bless water. They just can't. They don't have the power to do that. Uh, you can put crosses up around the room. Well, the cross is a form of punishment, and you're not going to make something negative or something evil go away by using a form of punishment. Okay. So there are some things, some inconsistencies that are out there that people just think this is what's going to, oh, let me burn as much sage and cedar sticks as I can. Well, you are burning something here in a physical world, and you're trying to make something that's in a non physical world go away. They can't smell what you're burning. So the only thing that you're doing at that point is setting off your fire alarms. That's all you're doing. These things, oh, let me put these sacred geometry tattoos all over my body. Let me get some crystals and some other rocks out here. It's not going to work, people. You have to do the inner dirty work yourself to keep negativity away from you. You have to get rid of all the negativity that you have going on in your lives and around your lives to keep these negative energies away from you while staying as positive as you can. So these are the kinds of things that I now know, but were inconsistencies when we were trying to figure this out. And when that was happening, we were reaching out to everyone that we could to try to find some answers. And I had a paranormal group come to my house, and I know that has to do with one of your questions, correct?
Yes, yeah. Yeah. Actually, you have a quote in your book um, where you say, I did not want to be this kind of famous.
Absolutely. It was a hard time because I got a hold of a paranormal group to come to my house, and, I mean, that was a win for me, uh, for the fact that when they did come into the house and they got all the information that they got, they were witnessing it as much as we were, and that was a win for me because we were at a point where we were at rock bottom. I didn't know where else to turn or what else to do. So much was happening all the time where we needed a group like that to come to the house. But it was when they showed up in their little van and they had the insignia on the side of the van, I just thought to myself, I don't want to be this kind of famous. I just don't. Because everyone else around me who lives in that neighborhood or people are going to hear about it, they think they're living next to a poltergeist home. But unfortunately for them, they are. Um, but there's nothing that I can actually do about it. But I don't want to be that kind of famous for it. I don't want people coming to the house with, like, reporters or cameras and all that stuff, so I was, like I was happy that they were there, but there was that moment of clarity that said, "Uh-oh, are people gonna find out about this? This isn't gonna be good for us." So but when they came in and they started looking around the house. That one girl had a camera. She was taking pictures. Another guy was doing videotape still at the time. Uh, the There was one guy who was just kind of observing, and another guy was just the leader of the team asking questions. And he was setting up all the equipment. I just finally thought to myself, okay, something's going to happen here. Something is going to help us or maybe change the situation for us. I had faith in that, and, well, that faith didn't turn out very good, that's for sure. It turned out in a way where they got all kinds of information. Um, they were one the girl was taking pictures, walking around the house, of taking pictures of me or me with someone else or just someone else. And every time they took a picture of me by myself or with someone else, I had 15 or 20 light orbs completely surrounding me. When it was a picture of someone else, there was nothing. They set up these little boxes that had lights and wires on it. And I said, I've watched the ghost shows before, but I was like, what is that? He said, well, spirit put off a static electricity. So he rubbed his hand on the couch and then he waved his hand above it. And the box lit up and made this noise. And I was like, oh, okay. So anytime something comes around, we're going to know it. He said, absolutely. I said, okay. And so they asked me a question like, so where do you have activity, the most activity going on in the house? I said, I don't know, just pick a spot. I mean, doesn't make a difference where, as long as we're in this house or we could go outside. I mean, doesn't make a difference wherever I'm at. I got something going on. And that's when they kind of looked at me strange. I said, but if you want, let's go in the bedroom. Now, before we walked into the bedroom, he had all these little boxes set up on a chair and on my computer desk and all this. I walked through the door, and immediately after I walked through the door, every one of those boxes lit up, bloop, and I was like, I turned around and looked at them like, "What is going on?" And they just looked at me and they kind of shrugged their shoulders. I mean, these are professionals shrugging their shoulders at me. And so they walked through. When they did, nothing happened, and they just kind of turned back and they were like, "Hmm." So we walked around the room, not that it was a very big room, but we walked around, we were talking. The camera guy said, I feel drawn to go into your closet. Is it a walk-in closet?" I said, "It actually is." So we go in, but it's not a big one, but because I got a ton of shirts. And so I go in there and I'm standing there. He comes in behind me and he's looking around with the camera, and then he says, I got to get out of here, Mr. I'm getting sick. And he ran out of the room and sat on the bed. And I came out. I said, "You okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm all right." I said, "All right. Well, what do you want to?" He said, "Well, let's try to go back in now." I said, "All right, no problem." We walk in. He walks in behind me again, looks at me, and goes, "Oh, here," and he ran right back out again. And he sat on the bed. And I said, all right, just calm down." And everyone else is looking at him. And I said, "You okay?" He's like, "Yeah, I feel good now.
mm,
How come you're not getting sick?" I said, "I don't know. You're the
mm,
expert. That's what you guys are supposed to tell me. I don't know why that's not happening." So he decided, let's not go back in there again. So we go to walk out of the room. I walk out of the room. Bloop, they all light up again. I look back at them. I said, "What is going on here?" And they said, "We don't know. We don't ever see this." They walk through, nothing. I mean, even as we're walking around the house, anytime they had one of those little boxes anywhere, every time I walked past it, it was just lighting up.
mm,
And they're just walking around like they look bewildered at the time. We walked down in the basement. I'm not sure if I put this in the book, but we were down in the basement and we're talking, and there's a big full length mirror against the wall. And I'm standing in front of it talking to this guy, and I walk away from it, and he looks at me and says, "Mr. Jackson, can you come back here again?" And I was like, "Sure, what's going on?" He said, "Just stand right here." I said, "Okay." I stand there, and he goes, "Now turn around and kind of look at the mirror." And I said, "Okay." And and I see it, and the mirror is vibrating.
mm,
And I look at him, and then he says, "All right, now step away from the mirror." I step away from the mirror, and it stops. And then I step in front of the mirror again, and it starts doing it again. And he's like, "I've never seen anything like that before." I said, "I just see it as a mirror. I just walk past it. I don't stop in front of the mirror and go, oh, let me look at myself today. Look at my hair. Is my hair okay today? Nope. Okay." But that's what I just do. But yeah, we walked into another room and it was completely black in there. We shut all the lights out, and he says, "Let's do a test." And he says, "Okay, is there anybody here in this room with us?" And then above us, you hear this,
mm,
and we're all like, you can't see each other because it's so dark in there. And I'm kind of like, what, where did that come from? And he's like, Um, I'm gonna try that again. And everybody stand still. I'm gonna try to, and he says the same thing and knocks come through again. And then immediately a light turns on the floor, like a light bulb. And he says, "Do you have any lights on here? Do you have lights in on the floor anywhere?" I said, "No." My wife's standing right by the light switch. She turns it on. Everybody looks down. We're standing on carpet. And he's like, "Where did that light come from?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "That was a new one for me. That's never happened." So, and then we went up into the bedroom. We went back upstairs and he said, "Hey, I want to do a test. We have this thing called an ovulus. I want to see if we can get something from it." And I was like, "An ovulus?" He said, "Yeah, but you've heard of it, probably a spirit box." I was like, "Oh, okay." So he says, "Can we go in the bedroom? I want you to pretend you're sleeping." I said, "Yeah, no problem." And so I go in there, I get under the covers, nice and snugly warm, and I'm pretending I'm sleeping. They walk in the room, they turn that box on, click, and immediately, now I didn't mention this in the book, immediately there's a couple different channels on the box. They turned it on and it started speaking French because they had it in a mode where it was speaking French. I mean, this thing, I asked, he said this thing was like $5,000, thing. And and I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" And then they said, "Oh, wait, hold on." Click, and then they flipped it over, and it spoke in English, and it said, "Wendy, Michael, Paul, Helen, unique, light, special, energy." And I was like, I'm just laying there like, "What the heck?" And then it said the word road, like a street, said road. When it did that, a car went past my
Mhm.
house, and I was like, "Whoa, this is." So then they started asking questions. That's when it got real. I mean, really real for me. They were asking questions for 10 minutes. They told me later they timed it exactly 10 minutes. Every time they asked a question, it answered immediately. It didn't have a lapse of time. It didn't answer the question later on. They asked a question, it answered. Whatever was there answered. And there was one of the questions that came through, and they said, "Are you here to harm Daniel?" And immediately that thing said, "No, we are not here to harm Daniel. We love Daniel. We love Daniel's light. Daniel is the light." And I was like, "What?
Mhm.
What does that mean? What do you mean Daniel is the light?" I was just sitting there by myself being quiet, but it's going through my mind. What do they mean I'm the light? What's that supposed to mean? So when they got finished, they finally walked out of the room and I sat there for a couple minutes and then I got up and then I walked out. And then I saw my wife and I saw them standing there in a huddle, and I said to myself, "What's going on?" She's like, "I don't know. They're talking about something." I mean, they seem to be pretty concerned. So they finally turned around, and I was excited. I was excited, Daniel, when because there was so much information that happened. I was like, "So you got that right? I mean, you heard all that?" And they said, "Well, yeah, we heard it, but there's an issue." And I was like, What kind of issue?" It didn't sound bad. It sounded like everything was good, but and he said, "Well, whenever we use that box, Mr. Jackson, we can get it to spit out a word or 2." I said, "Okay." He said, "It never says sentences, and it doesn't say sentences for 10 minutes." I was like, "Well, alright." And he's like, "Well, this is time of the session where we're gonna end it now, and we're gonna come back and do a big reveal,
Mhm.
okay?" And I was like, "Okay." And I said, "When you gonna do that?" He said, "We'll be back in about 2 weeks. We gotta go through all this stuff and but in the meantime, I'm gonna give you some, things to look up on the internet. These are prayers that you can set up a Bluetooth speaker or a speaker from your laptop, and if you ever have any instances again, like we're having now, I want you to turn that on and play these prayers." And then he said, "I want you to take this as well." And I said, "What's," he said, "It's a spray bottle." I was like, "What am I gonna do with that?" He says, "Well, there's holy water in it, and if there's any instances again, like I saw green and red mist pouring out of the walls and skulls coming out with red eyes and fangs. He said, if you see any of that stuff again, you just spray it. And he said, that'll take care of it. I was literally walking around spraying the walls of my house. The only thing I was doing was making the walls wet. And so, oh, yeah, we'll come back in 2 weeks. We'll do a big reveal. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks later, I finally get a hold of those people. And I said, so on the phone, when are you coming back? I said, we need some answers. He said, oh, we're not coming back, Mr. Jackson. I said, what do you mean? He said, I can't even get the team together. He said, once we got on your front lawn, everybody quit. He said, they're too afraid to go in your house. I said, well, can you come to my house? And he was like, well, I don't feel comfortable coming in there either, Mr. Jackson. Whatever you got going on, it's just, we've been doing this for about 5 years. We don't get that kind of information from one house. It takes 4 or 5 homes to get all that, not just one. He said, so I just don't feel comfortable coming back into the house. So yeah, when it was a good experience, we got a lot of information, and it was a good confirmation for my wife and I, because these other people were witnessing at the same time, but they didn't help me,
Mhm.
and I didn't know what to do next at that point. So that my whole worry of them, coming to my house and people finding out that, I got this ghost hunter, group coming to my house, that completely went out of my head at that point. I
Yeah,
was at an extreme loss at that point.
I think that's one of the things that really struck a chord with me in your book is that just the sheer experience of kind of the investigators kind of going, yeah, yeah, let's just leave that there. We don't want to touch.
Yeah, yeah, pretty because whenever you see a
Mm,
TV show, they just show you after they're done an investigation, their perspective of things. They don't show you what those people who were living in the house were going through at that
mhm.
point from after they left. They don't show you that part. Why not? Because they want ratings, that's why.
Right, right.
Because the people who came to my house, they got information and wanted to put that's what they do. They want to put information on their websites so they can be the cool website and get everybody interested in, "Oh, look what we heard, look what we saw," and stuff like that. Well, buddy, you know what, people? Everyone out there, I don't s it never stops for me.
Hmm.
Maybe they got some cool information. I don't see the information that I get as being cool. It's just my everyday life. And
Yeah.
at that point, I needed answers to figure out what the heck is going on? And why is this happening so much? And why is it happening so much to me? What is so special about me that is having this happen? That's what I needed. And I didn't get it. So I I I question their motives,
Mhm.
highly questionable motives there of what they're actually trying to get from the situation. And And I even today, I have an issue with these ghost hunters because now that I know everything that's actually taking place, I know they're not most of them aren't doing anything to help the spirit themselves. And that's where I get upset with that. They're not helping them to move on because these spirit that they are contacting in this way, when you hear them screaming and crying and moving stuff and children, those spirit are in a low energy realm. They are what we would call earthbound. There's no such place as
Mm,
hell, but they are there. And these people don't do anything to help them leave there and go home because this is not home where we are. Home is what we would call heaven. They don't do anything to help them to get to where they need to be. And that's part of what I do. I cross spirit over into the light. Now, not every spirit wants to go, but I will help the ones that do want to go. These people don't even try because it's more about getting information to put it so they can be the cool kids on the block.
mhm.
No, I have a problem with that. I have an issue with that, and I want that to come to an
Yeah, I got to tell you, it's
end.
not really. I understand the importance of wanting to gather data,
Right.
but it's kind of like a doctor going in the office and examining you and then going, okay, well, I got my data, and then walking out.
See you later. Yeah.
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 And
No thanks.
and that's where we leave it. That's just where we
Yeah.
leave
Let
it.
me go write a paper on this and that's it, you know,
Yeah.
because I want some notoriety.
One of the things that really comes to mind with, because I gotta tell you, my personal experience is that I went through a long period of time of trying to hide every single thing. Like, people would come up to me as a kid and introduce them. Well, they wouldn't even introduce themselves. Strangers would just come up to me as a kid and go, "Well, hey, old man," and stuff like that. And I would just be like, I would literally cringe. I was like, "Oh my God, you're calling me out in public. Shut up."
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
even as a kid, and, just going on and on and on all the time. People um, coming up to me and hand me their keys or something and going, "Can you get anything off of this?" And I'm going, I don't know who's been coughing on your keys.
Right.
Yeah. And just trying to like blow it off so that people don't, but they would like just automatically assume, because they've seen a movie or read something or whatever,
Right.
that if they picked up something different about somebody, that, oh, I wonder if they can do this. Let's see. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, you don't understand. It's
Yeah,
not about
absolutely. Absolutely,
it's.
because people assume that all mediums have the same ability or same gift. We don't.
Mm-mm,
I even took an intuition class early on, to figure out what was going on here, and the intuition class was, "Here, hold on to this item and see what you get from it." Uh, I was eventually told, later on that I was no longer, invited to that class, because the woman who held the class said I was too much of an advanced medium to be in that class, and I was scaring everyone else. So but I get that, but I was like, really? I mean, I'm just trying to help everybody else there. But what it was really was taking place was, she was actually in my book, but I don't name her. Um, she felt as though I was stealing her thunder,
mhm,
because she also had a paranormal group that she would go out and investigate. And I offered to come with her, and she said, "No, no, no, no." She didn't want me to take her business away from her because I would cross the spirit over and let them go home. But she thought I was taking her thunder away. I even went to one of her classes that she had some video, and she said, "Well, look at this and listen to this." And I was like, "Well, what about that other guy right there in the corner?" And she's like, "What?" I said,
mhm,
"The other guy right there." And she's like, "Huh?" And then people going, "Oh, yeah, I see that too." And then I heard a voice. I go, "There's another voice in there. The guy telling you says help. Listen in the very background." And the guy said help, and she was like, "Oh, I didn't pick up on that." And this lady was a medium. She had been a medium for over 20 years, and so she was highly upset with me. She was the one that put the group together for me, that was in the book that helped me to develop what I have now. I mean, partially, I've developed it more throughout the years, but they helped me get started. But she was the one to put the group together, and she's the one that disbanded the group because she said it's all becoming the Daniel show and all this stuff. I was so green and so new to it. I was like, it's not. I'm just. She was mad. She told one of the other members that she said, "Why is this happening to him? He's so new. I've been doing this for 20 years. Why isn't it happening to me?" Well, because you're just not meant for it. That's all. I mean, some of us are just meant to be teachers, others are just meant to be students. And she was just not in that part where she was supposed to her ability or her gift was supposed to escalate as much as mine was. But that was not my fault. That was not something I was trying to do. It just is. It's just I was just meant to be something more than she was, and she was angry at that. This is not a competition. It's not.
right,
I
right,
know other mediums who contact the moms and dads, the dogs and cats, brothers and sisters. I don't do that. They do come through, and if I get an answer from them, I will tell it to the person. But my thing is that I'm here to give them peace of mind and clarity, but I give them direction in their lives for themselves to be able to learn their lessons correctly while fulfilling their purpose. And your purpose isn't being a doctor or a lawyer or a teacher. It's for helping people just for the sake of helping. I give them direction in order to do that so that they can get their golden ticket to go home and stay home. That's what I'm here to do. But I'm also here to clean up this place, to get this world back on track of letting that everyone know that we can all take care of each other just because of the reason of just because, to not have money involved and greed and power, to get this place back to where it used to be at one time. That's my thing that I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be changing this world. And so the experiences that I was having and the instances that were happening to me and for me were different from hers because she was doing the investigations. She was doing the let me talk to your mom and dad. Uh, let me talk to your mom and dad because you had an argument with your mom and dad before they passed away, and I'll get you to now pat you on the back that everything's okay, honey, and everything's going to be okay. Yeah, that stuff, Uh, or the other people who do the basically a circus sideshow act. Um, you know, the
mhm,
the the what's her name, the Manhattan Medium, whatever she is. Yeah, that stuff. I'm not
mhm,
meant to do that. I'm actually here to help people for real, not
mhm,
this. Oh, let me do the circus sideshow and do all that stuff. No, there's a difference. Those are the egotistical pieces of crap out there. So, but she was just upset with me because I was able to see more, hear more, feel more, communicate more, and that really bugged her, and I didn't want it to be that way. I was always very, sympathetic towards her, but I was always trying to be, you know, just me and be friends with her, but she kept seeing it as being a competition, and that just it really fractured our friendship to the point where I don't even see her or hear from her anymore, and that bothers me because she was very, um very helpful from the beginning of helping me with the others to get me
mhm,
to where I am now. I'm actually still in communication with 2 of the people, that were in that group, but yeah, she was very, yeah, she was a big part
mhm.
of helping me to develop what eventually became what I am doing now. And that upsets me to the point where I wish I still had that relationship with her because I did enjoy talking to her and I got a lot of information from her. Uh, and I miss the relationship that we had. And that's an issue sometimes. I do these psychic arts fairs and those types of things. And a lot of times it is a competition between the different practitioners when it shouldn't be. But it's never a competition for me. I just go in there and do what I do. That's it. You
Right,
know,
right, exactly. And that's one of the things is, I've until this year, I really fought tooth and nail um, about going public with anything, about talking to people about anything, about
coming
like
out
literally, yeah, just be like, you know, no, 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 all the time. And finally,
when you should be saying yes, 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 yes. No,
right,
no, no matter what, people are going to look at us a different way. They're going to
hmm
judge us because everybody judges everybody anyway, although no one should be judging anybody. Just take a self inventory of yourself and think of all the crap you've been through in your life, and then look at somebody else. I bet they've been through some too, and then bite your tongue and walk away because you don't have the right to do it. But uh, but people are going to do it. But it's not about them judging us. It's about us accepting the fact that they're going to do it.
right,
And then but also just being okay with it. Someone can call me horrible words all day long, but God didn't create words. He gave us an ability to make sound. So you can say any word that you want to that begins with the letter F that doesn't sound like a fire truck, and he doesn't care as long as you're not putting that negative energy on someone. Someone can call me these names all day long. I don't care. Uh, they're waiting for a reaction. Well, here's your reaction.
right.
Go away.
Well, and it finally occurred to me, the message came loud and clear to me that we have to understand that because each person is individual and we are all wired differently and yet at the same time not,
Right.
that we each have an individual experience and an individual path. And no two people are ever going to completely come together as a, a spitting image, so to say.
Correct.
We
Chris.
all have different calling. We all have different
Right.
abilities.
Right. But
And
that one true wiring we all have is we've all been taught pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, anguish, all that stuff, and we all
right,
I always tell people all the time because they say, "Well, I don't believe in your gift, and I don't believe in your ability, and I have to have actual proof to see or do something like that." And I always tell them, I would say, "Okay, buddy, here's what you do. Put your hands together like a cup." And they go, "Oh, okay." And I say, "Now, show to me inside of that cup of your hands, show me pain or show me anger." And I say, "Look inside. Do you see it?" And they go, "Well, no." I say, "Okay, show me sorrow or grief or guilt. Do you see it?" "No." I say, "Well, yeah, you can't see that, but you sure do make a hell of a lot of decisions based on it all day long. And so where's your proof of that?" "Well, that's my feelings." "Oh, yeah, but are your feelings, are they tangible things? Can you see them? You have trust and faith within that, but you can't have trust and faith with me, and I get answers all day long, and they're truthful answers. So where would that come from? Why wouldn't
mm,
that be coming within me as well?" "Oh, I never thought of it that way." "Yeah, because you're not thinking."
well, and I tell people all the time, I was like, my job is not to convince you of anything.
Correct.
My job is to do that which I'm called to do,
Correct.
and your job is to either yay or nay.
Correct.
And
Either
as
accept it or don't. It's up to you. You have free will.
exactly,
You have
it's
free
like
will.
I can sit there and hand you glasses of water all day long. It's not my job to force the water on you. It's my
Right.
job to hand you the water. And if you choose to drink it, then great. If you don't, hey, leave it there. Somebody else will want it sooner or later.
What you need to do is take that glass of water and throw the glass of water in their face and say, "Shh, wake up." That's what you do.
You know what?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I literally just walk away and go, it's not their time.
Yeah.
They haven't arrived yet, but I planted a seed. And
Yeah.
that's what's important. The seed. And a lot of times I think that's where, you know, a lot of us early on get that kind of that dread and fear and we buck the
Yes.
system, so to say,
Absolutely.
because we don't understand. It's taken me years to get to
Yeah.
the point of wanting to finally say, you know what? It's not going to change. Nothing is going to change. I
Right.
am not going to change. I am here now.
Yep.
And because I'm here now, there is a purpose and a plan
Yes.
that's never going to change.
Yeah.
Even after I take off this flesh suit, the purpose and the plan is never going to change.
Right. Right. You just have to decide whether or not you're going to follow through with it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing of it. One of the things, because we're getting close to the hour mark, and I don't want to take too much of you because I don't know how busy
I'm
you are.
okay.
All right, good deal. Um, so one of the things that I'm curious about, because a lot of people will automatically go to this whenever they see the word medium and so forth, um, is as far as like future events and so forth. Have you ever experienced do you experience times where you're given a word on future events or um, things that are currently about to happen?
Yes. But so in the beginning for me, I would
Mm,
meditate, and when I would meditate, they would show it to me, so I see it like a cartoon happening, or I see it in a like a movie, but it's in
mm,
real time. like yesterday. But I don't have to meditate anymore. I just close my eyes and it's already playing. Yesterday, they showed me a message that I needed to see. I closed my eyes for a second, saw it playing, so I just kept my eyes closed and watched it play, and then I got the message and I told them okay, and I described the message to them, and then they turn it off. That's simple for me. Yes, I there was a time about 2.5 years, maybe 2 years prior to COVID coming,
Hmm.
we got a channeled message. I don't channel so much anymore either. Now they just tell it to me instead of it coming through someone else. But at that time, it came through, and they told us about a bad virus that was coming and the first stock market crash. Um, I was telling people going to the shows that I was doing back east called Illuminate Festivals. Um, and that's a shameless plug. And she was awesome, Judy Baziz. And I was there, and I was telling people about what to do, what to prepare for, because this virus was going to be very bad. Um, I didn't call it COVID because I didn't know what it was called. They just said it was a very bad virus that was going to harm a lot of people. And then they also told us, like I said, about the first stock market crash that happened right with it. So I was telling people how to prepare, but to prepare for like the worst storm they've ever had. And I still want people to do that. We told them to get as much rice and beans and sugar and salt and medical supplies and keep extra clothing on hand, to keep cash on hand because you may go to a bank and not be able to get money out. Uh, I I told them about all the supplies that they needed to have, and but I was telling people, but I was only telling people that I knew could handle it because some people that I would do readings for were, you know, worried about the egotistical things in life, having 6 cars and 7 houses and 10 boats. So, so I would tell the people that I felt could handle it. But even still, about a month prior to it coming, I was doing readings for at this festival down in Virginia when I lived on the East Coast. I live in Arizona now. Um, and I'm in Arizona because Spirit told me to come here because they said it would no longer be safe for us to live on the East Coast. So, so they told me a month prior, they said, "It's coming soon. You have to let everybody know again now to be prepared. It's coming soon." And it did. It came within a month and a half. It was there. Um, when that happened, and I told everyone, I got about 20 messages from people said, "I'm so glad I listened to you. We were prepared. We have." My wife and I at the point, we already had 3 years worth of toilet paper. I wasn't scavenging in the stores looking for toilet paper. I had some guy recently, made a comment about one of the show another podcast I did. He's like, "Oh, you always tell the same story over and over again. I'm sure people don't need to hear about your toilet paper story," but they needed to hear about it then
Hmm.
because it was a thing. And this guy was, "Oh, you're always talking about." Well, that's the same story because I can't make a different story of my life. This is what's
Right.
been happening. So I don't know what his complaint was, but, but some shows I do different interviews like this one. This one's different than most of the other ones I've done because we've talked about different things. Um, but, uh, but I got all those messages from people, but then I got a bunch of messages from people said, "I wish I would have listened to you. I thought you were crazy." And as I say to them now,
Mm.
I'm not crazy. You gotta listen to me now. So when I get a message about something, but with that, I do get messages all the time that I don't tell people about
Mm.
because it would ensue hysteria.
Mhm.
And I don't want to do that to people because there are some things that, again, would frighten them completely, but there are some things that are just meant to happen. It
Mhm.
just has to happen in order for something else to happen afterwards. So people, you know, I can give people messages all day long, but I'm not here to hold your hand through your life. You have to still live your life. I'm not a fortune teller. I'm not going to give you a fortune and
Right.
then tell you, okay, come back to me tomorrow so I can know. Because if I did that, as I always explain to everyone, no one has a guardian angel. You just don't. If you had a guardian angel following you around, guarding you from everything in your life, what would you learn? You would learn nothing. Okay. So the people don't have archangels and angels following you around. You don't need an angel to go get a cup of freaking coffee. You don't need an angel to take 1,000 selfies and post them on social media. If you're doing that anyway, you have a self esteem problem. Go get that fixed. Okay. You don't need an angel to get in your car and drive to a convenience store or go to Walmart. You don't need that. You have angels or archangels with you, as I do, because you are performing a specific task that God wants you to do. You are very aware of it because He has spoken to you about it, and He's trying to get you to change this world. That's what He's doing. That's why you have angels with you. You have spirit guides out there. Everyone has spirit guides, yet you can't even listen to your own intuition. But you think you need an angel? Really? You better wake up because you don't. So, and I'm doing a video on my show called "What Do My Angels Have for Me?" Because I had a lady sit down with me one time and say, "Daniel, what do my angels have for me?" Because her mom brought her to reading. She said, "I needed you to have a reading with my daughter," and I said, "Oh, you brought her because you know I'm going to tell her the truth." She said, "Yeah, I heard you on a podcast. I know you're going to tell her the truth because she needs to hear it." And then she said to me, "What do my angels have for me?" And I said, "Nothing, because you don't have angels, because you don't need angels to take 1,000 selfies so you can prove to everybody how wonderful of a friggin' person you are all day long." And as I was telling her that, her mom was laughing her butt off. She's going, "Yes, that's exactly what she's doing. Oh my God." So, yeah, I mean, I ride a motorcycle and all the other motorcycle, but oh, I have a guardian angel. People only want them a guardian angel to guard you from specific things.
Mhm.
Well, if they were going to guard you, why didn't they fix your entire freaking life from the
Right.
beginning? Why did you have anything happen to you from the beginning? Because the reason you were sent here was to learn. And they fixed everything. What would you learn? If you had miracles performed, what would you learn? Because there are no miracles. No one, no one, no one survives cancer. You just continue to live until you don't. It's that simple. There's 2 rules in this world. As long as you comprehend these rules and follow them, you're gonna appreciate your life and everyone else's life around you more.
Mm.
Rule number 1 is people die every day. Rule number 2 is you can't change rule number 1. When it's your time to go, it just is. So, miracles and all these other things are not going to happen because God knows if you don't get it right this time, He can just bring you back and do it all over again.
Mhm.
So people need to learn the realism within this spiritual realm that the things that you are being told
Yeah.
by a lot of these gurus and TV shows and movies, that's just not real. It's just not reality. It's not realistic. God want if you have cancer, it's because your soul is learning about the body having cancer. It's not punishment. It's
Right.
about learning what you're gonna do. 1, you're gonna sit around with your thumb up your butt all day long and do nothing, or 2, you're gonna go out and be proactive about it. But number 3, death is going to happen. Not a matter
Mhm.
of if, just a matter of when. You have to come to realization that what's important is not your past lives are not important. What's important is what you do now, because if that previous life that from now that was so important, you wouldn't be here now. You would have gotten your golden ticket and went home and stayed home. Don't go, "Oh, let me find out if I was related to a king or a queen," because 'cause I'll tell you, well, you think standing on the backs of people and torturing and murdering them for money and power and greed is something, no something noble, something to be important to be connected to? I think you're a piece of crap for wanting to know that. So, learn to let that go, walk away, and learn your lessons and fulfill your purpose. That's what's important in life.
Right. One of the things that, and this is just a personal belief, but one of the things that I feel for me that's true is when it comes to past lives and the importance of it in this lifetime is us understanding how to transmute the cause effect record and memory of those past
Correct.
in this lifetime. Because
Right.
essentially, and trying to describe the causal body to people is very difficult to do.
Yes.
But
They want they only want the special moments that happened in their previous life.
they
What about
do,
the time what about the 6,000 times you had to take a pee? They don't wanna talk
right?
about that. "Oh, what about the times that you probably were sick and vomiting?" "Oh, well, what about the times I was doing something important?" Well, everything in your life is important. I had a show host ask me one time, "If you had something you could change your life, what would you have?" I said, "I wouldn't change anything because everything that happened to me got me to where I am now."
Mhm.
People only want the special, important things that happened in their lives and all the important issues that happened in their lives and experiences that happened in their life. But what about the regular mundane stuff? Everybody goes through all these mundane things, but no one wants to talk about those. But it's all part of your life. It's all part of
Right.
your life and your lives experience to get you to where you are now. And all your previous lives were important because you were fulfilling your purpose throughout your lives,
Mm,
but you weren't doing it enough. And that's why you did it's not the reason because of your learning lessons why you had to come back. It's because you didn't fulfill your purpose. Now, you're it's a double-edged sword there where you had to come back and learn some new lessons, but the only reason again that you are learning those lessons again is because you didn't fulfill your purpose enough to go home and stay home. So it's one big giant thing like, people are always worried about, "Oh, let me raise my vibrations." Well, you know what? You can't raise your vibrations if you're walking around in this world paying attention to elections and paying attention to drama and watching the dumb TV shows and watching sports and all that other stuff and all the other garbage that's going on, all your family who's being horrible to you and you pay attention to it and you think it means something. You are not raising your vibrations. You're not. You're
mhm,
not sent here to raise your vibrations. You are sent here to learn lessons and to fulfill a purpose. That's what the meaning of life is here, being a human in this physical world. It is not sitting around going, no, because when you're doing that, you're not getting anything other than personal stuff done. And what you're supposed to be doing is out helping everyone and everything that you can and being a part of it. Because if we were all meant to be, if there wasn't meant to be, if there's only one of us here, again, what would be the point of living, at all? And the point of living, it's not going to be easy. Life is not meant to be easy. If it was meant to be easy, what would be the point of living?
right.
We're all meant to do this together. If that wasn't the case, there wouldn't be 7.5 billion of us. There would only be 1. We're here to do this together. We're here to get this figured out together, but not standing around going, "I hope God cures my disease for me." He's not going to cure anything for you. If you get past it, you did because you were meant to. But if you didn't, no big deal. You're just gonna pass away and either go home or stay in the earthbound realm. One way or another, you're in control of that because no one can keep you from going anyplace, nor can they save you a spot in any place. But it is up to you. God does not punish you. We punish ourselves with our own decisions. You have to figure that out. But you have to wake up to the fact that sitting around and waiting and wishing and hoping and dreaming and thinking all that's going to come true, while you could be spending some time out there making it happen. Because that whole, I'm gonna manifest it. Bull crap. It's either gonna happen because you made it happen, but sitting around waiting for it to happen, wishing it's gonna happen, is not gonna happen. You have to be a part of it. You have to go out and be a part of your own life and where that life is going to lead. You have to be a part of it. Because if you think it's just gonna happen like you're waiting around for your soulmate to come around, Your soulmate is not necessarily someone you're going to fall in love with. It could be a dog or a cat. It's your best friend. It's someone that just another soul of his back at home that you're both back here again together and you work very well together. It's not necessarily going to fall in love with them. So if you're waiting around for that, you're going to be waiting forever. You got to go out and be a part of life. You got to go out and be a part of this world, and you got to make a difference in this world that's going to help this place, not just help you to have 6 cars and 7 houses and 10 boats. Get over it.
Right, right. There's several things that are misconceptions and that are horribly used and abused.
Yes.
Manifestation is
Oh,
a horribly used and abused key word any
it,
longer.
my other
What
keyword is abundance, abundance, abundance. They always think of money. That's what they think of. No.
so true. So the thing with manifestation is you're right. You, there's only a very small part of manifestation is the intentional part,
Correct.
setting the intention. One can
Correct.
set the intention. You need to forget what you did right away and go out and act on what you are trying because without
Correct.
action, it's just a thought. It's sort of like looking at somebody and admiring their dress or whatever. It's just a thought. It's just
Correct.
thought. You every manifestation starts with a thought, but it leads to action in order to become an being, and that's what a lot of people think that there's some spirit Santa Claus sitting around in the universe knitting all of these manifestations together and
Correct.
handing them out like presents.
Yeah.
And this is not what Heavenly Father or Heavenly
No.
Mother intended for us to do. Th-
Absolutely not. What would you
It's like
learn from that? What are you gonna learn? Like winning the lottery.
that.
"Oh, I hope I win the lottery. I wish I would win the lottery." Well, the point of winning the lottery is not just winning the lottery or getting $1,000,000. The point of that $1,000,000 is what you do with it. Now, if you take it and spend it all on yourself, what usually happens for those people? They go right back into debt because they're not used to having that kind of money.
Mm,
Whereas if you take it and spread it out some and give it to some people who could never, imagine having something that you could give them or help them with,
mm,
that's what you do with it. You could use some of it for yourself, but if you're just using it all for yourself, me, 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 well, no. And no, and
right.
I guarantee you won't learn your lessons, and I guarantee you won't get to fulfilling your purpose, and I guarantee you'll come back again.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah. People just don't get it.
That whole concept of abundance. I
Ugh,
talked to a 23-year-old the other day, a 23-year-old
poor you.
who, but this kid understood abundance like I have never heard a 20-something-year-old say it before, and thoroughly understood the concept of what abundance, true abundance is.
Sure.
And I was like, uh, why you need to be teaching this to people because no, you have people that are 50 and 60 and 70 years old that still don't know what abundance is, and you're
Right.
23 and you nailed it on like, and of course he just laughed and like
He had
just
abundance of knowledge, an
abundance of
abundance of
everything,
understanding.
an
Yeah.
abundance of awareness
Yeah.
definitely, and and these gems, these nuggets, golden nuggets that are walking around who do understand what abundance really is. There was not too long ago, somebody made a comment at my job. We were all like working on a project, and somebody said to me something about an abundance of something, in talking about we were kind of playing a word game with it, and I looked at him. I said, "You have no idea how accurate that really is. Right now, we do have abundance of,
Yeah.
and and it's what you do with what we have right now that's crucial to the game tonight. And because it was just one of those nights where it seemed like everything was working against us, and
Right.
and
Right.
we kept going. okay, what do we have an abundance of right now? You know, and it's like somebody would say, well, we have an abundance of shelving, or we have an abundance of this, we have abundance of that. And I would be like, okay, so what does that mean? What does that mean right this minute? Do we also have an abundance of hope, right? Because we have these things available. And somebody else would come up and go, oh, and we also have an abundance of energy right now because
Sure do.
it's that we're excited, and it just kept growing. And the thing with it is these words have meaning,
Yes,
and words have power, but they have meaning and power only if you understand the fullness of the word. It,
correct.
my favorite job, it is going through and meditating from time to time for a few moments each day on a specific word, and going, okay, what is this word? Let's talk about it for a second. And my guides will say, okay, so you know we know what you feel this word is, and that's accurate, but here's another perspective.
Right.
And I'm like, yes, you are
I didn't think of that. I didn't think to look at it that
right.
way. Yeah.
Right. Which goes to another thing. You mentioned gurus, and you mentioned teachers and so forth.
These
And
enlightened souls. Yeah, yeah.
now, so are you familiar with Church Universal and Triumphant before I talk about the
Yeah,
story? Okay. So I was an absolute devotee at one point. I was like in my 20s, and excited, so excited that there was a group of people who I thought understood exactly what I was looking for at that time. And, of course, Elizabeth Clare Prophet was growing her organization fairly well at that point. She was not at the point where she would go to later on. Um, and there were many times whenever she would say something and go, but let me explain to you guys, just because I am a teacher does not mean I'm perfect.
correct.
And she would constantly say that early on. She would be like, I'm
I'm
still,
I'm
I'm
in this
still,
meat suit. Yeah,
yeah, I'm a mother. I'm a widow. I'm this, I'm that. And early on, I learned through her humbleness at that time to understand that great people are great not by who they are or what they are, but by their acknowledgement of what they are not.
correct.
And that was one of the things that I learned early on. Now,
I've I've
eventually,
I've also been called a mother, just different.
I feel you. I feel you. And that's, you know, later on, of course, as things progressed, there were times where the masters would, you know, kind of whisper in my ear and go, "Are you sure that this is from us?" And I would go, "Oh man, I don't want to hear that, because I have great respect for the guru." But one of the things that finally came to my attention was, of all people, Guru Ma, as we called her at that time, was telling us a little bit about Saint Germain in previous incarnations, and then was telling us about a couple of other masters in previous incarnations, and some of the just unpleasant stories in those lifetimes.
Sure.
And this one young Sheila was all excited and all about the movement, and she pops up. She goes, "But mother, how did they go from this to that? Or from that to this?" And and Guru Ma said to us that it's it's a word called transmutation.
Correct. Been through it. I
Yeah,
wasn't always this either. I wasn't always a medium. I was
right.
I was experiencing spirit throughout my life, but I was just a regular guy did jobs working in warehouses, driving forklifts. I belonged to a not so nice motorcycle club at one time.
Yeah,
They were all about not that I was, but they were all ex alcoholics and drug addicts. They were trying to help with AA and doing a lot of stuff, but it was still a motorcycle club. And they were trying to help people, but again, still it was a not so great motorcycle club. Uh,
right.
and I was into that. I just didn't drink because I'm diabetic and I just wanted to stay on a healthy lifestyle. But I played in a rock band in the '80s, and I had big hair and zebra striped spandex, all that stuff. I thought it was cool, maybe not so much. But, I've been through a lot of things in my life, as what we would call just a regular person, regular guy, uh, a regular person in this world. I've been through just as much, trials and tribulations as anyone else has been through, in this world. But for me, this all came on at a point, like I said, right before I was turning 50 years old, when it was time for change. It was time for me to be doing something else, bringing the word of God, the real word of God, not that Bible
Mm,
one, because that's the people who want to tell you how to live your life the way they want you to live it and give them 10%. Why do they want you to give them 10%? Because they don't want to go out and get a real job. That's why. But it, they wanted me to bring the word of God. They wanted me to spread his message everywhere, to let people know the real reasons why we are here. What
mm,
is our reason for being here? Why are we here? And what is our real purpose? I see a lot of I sign up to do a lot of podcasting, and I see all these other people. Oh, I'm going to tell you how to talk about your purpose. So I'll watch a little bit, but they don't get it. They think, oh, well, this is your purpose, becoming this doctor. Well, no, your purpose is going to be fulfilled by being one thing, by being human. It's that simple. It was sent it was brought to us to be doing it that way so that everyone could do it. Everyone has a purpose. You are all here for a reason. Everyone is here for a reason. Don't ever think you're not here for a reason, and don't ever think that you are alone, because there's 7.5 billion of us, but you are completely surrounded by many, many spiritual guides and many, many other spirit who are trying to help you. No one is here alone. You have a reason. But people don't they get lost in that because the world just tells them that they're not good enough to do this, they're not good enough you can't fit in here, you can fit in anywhere that you want to, but you have to be comfortable fitting in where you are as well. But you can go out and do whatever you want to in this world. You just have to have trust and faith within yourself to do it. And I'm telling you, you're worth it. You are good enough to do it. You're good enough to do anything you want to, but you got to believe in that too. So don't let the world tell you that you're not good enough to do anything, because they don't know you. They don't walk in your shoes. They don't have your experiences of you being you. So get that trust within yourself, get that faith within yourself, and you can go out there and take some advice, but you ultimately have the final decision of what's going to happen with you. So listen to that gut instinct, that intuition, that internal compass, your soul that is guiding you through this world. When you want to get some answers to that, absolutely take your hands and put them on your stomach and listen to yourself and ask yourself that question. Is this the right thing for me to do? Should I be doing this? Should I not be going in there? Listen to what it says, and then listen, trust, and follow through with what it's telling you to do, and it will absolutely guide you of where you need to be. But you got to let go of all your pain, anguish, sorrow, grief, guilt, anguish. You got to let go of your ego before you can get to that place of listening and trusting and following through. I guarantee if you do that, it will work out in the way not only that it's meant to, but the way that is best for you. But you got to start doing it, because if you don't do it soon, you're going to be walking around going, what's in it for me all the time? There's much more in it for you than you know. It's not always a tangible item that's in it for you. It's for you to be able to go home and stay home and not have to come back here and do this all over again. That's what it's
right,
about.
right. And I think that you first of all, it's good to have GPS. I tell people that all the time. GPS is a beautiful tool.
Yeah,
We all have GPS. Not one person is in control of the only GPS in the universe,
correct.
giving us all the map and according to their desire.
Yeah,
Now, what I will
their
tell you,
desire.
what I will tell you is if you feel strongly that you need to have a mentor or you need to have a guru or you
Absolutely.
need to have this or that, then
Guidance.
please go for it.
Yeah,
Uh, give yourself that opportunity. I loved my time under my guru. I really did. Now, the the problem is when you sense that there is a problem happening or going on.
correct.
That is when you need your exit strategy.
Yeah, you feel as though you can't get out of that situation, or that person's always trying to only hold your hand, and you can't
Mhm.
do it without their guidance. You absolutely can do it, but you need the guidance in order to get yourself in that position to be able to do it on your own. But you don't need them to guide you constantly, because why are they doing it at that point? At that point, they probably just want you to give them money all the time. No.
Right. Or they want the control. This
Yeah, they
is the
want to
thing with
control you.
the and I've talked about my time with CUT several times before. I was with them up to the point of the shelter cycle. And there were times during those early days of the shelter cycle that I finally looked around and I went, hmm. And then a couple of members started questioning my devotion. Eventually, they literally kicked me out of the local focus. And I was devastated at first. I absolutely was devastated. And then something became very clear to me. All of the time that I had been a called member of the church, you know, and everybody was like, "Oh, the masters really are working with you, and they really want you here," and blah 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 blah, and all this. And then all of a sudden, when I started questioning the fortress mentality of the time, I was a bad seed. I'm
Oh,
like,
sure.
how does that come to be? How do you go from being this person who the masters are really in love with to becoming the enemy of the church in one day? Well, because when we develop a fortress mentality and power takes over, this is where corruption sets in, and that's
Correct.
when you have to learn. You have to learn that we are all dipping from the same well.
Yes.
All of us, we're dipping from the same well. No, no one in flesh suit right now, nor in the future, nor in the past, has the right to cast out any.
Correct.
That's not a thing.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
don't I don't want people to follow me on this journey. I don't want me to be standing behind them, pushing them through this journey.
mhm,
I want them to walk with me through this journey together, hand in hand, side by side, going through it together as as equals, because we
mhm,
are all equals. We may have different responsibilities and different abilities. We all, but hopefully, we would all have the same agenda to learn, to seek out knowledge, to find all the answers to all the unanswered questions together, as in not just an individual, but as one is all is one, doing this together because again, if we weren't meant to be here together, there wouldn't be 7.5 billion of us. There would only be one.
exactly, exactly. And I think the other thing that is really important for people to understand is you need to do your research when it comes to some things.
Sure.
Um, there are certain, like you mentioned, soulmates. Um, another theology that has been blown out of the water highly and abused in so many ways is the theology of twin flames. Again,
Don't get me started. Yeah, yeah, that's a rebranding of the soulmate. Yeah, it's a
it
rebranding.
is.
They
It is.
rebrand a lot of things because the one ideology of it has now died down, and now they got, "Oh, no, there's no such thing as a twin flame. We are all souls. We all come from the same place, the same family, the soul family. We are all brothers and sisters. You are related to every cow and every cat that's walking around, or every plant, everything. We're all related. We're all connected to everything. A cow is not going to walk up to you and be pissed off at you in heaven because you ate a cheeseburger. They understand the circle of life. They understand everything. Uh, how although people here don't understand the circle of life, because you have the people going, "Oh, I wish my mom and dad were still here," and stuff like that. I miss them so much, and they talk about missing this person and that person while they're sitting at McDonald's eating a cheeseburger, because you just ate a cheeseburger is a cow that you just ate, and then that cow just had a baby or two too. So you're not concerned with that, but you're concerned with missing your mom and dad. Wake up. Yeah. But yeah, the circle of life, people just don't truly understand it. But we don't understand it because we haven't been taught correctly. We have been misguided. In the last couple of thousands of years. We need to get back to it. We need to get back to the actual reason of why we're here. What is our purpose? What purpose? What is the true meaning of our lives and death? Yeah, and what we're supposed to be doing here in the first place. And we need to get away from all this egotistical bullcrap that's going on in the world right now.
It's very important to understand that you know, the misqualified energy surrounding certain things
Yeah.
is we're still very strong in it. And a lot of people are like, I know over here right now, a lot of us are um, still very much aware of the recent events with weather phenomena and
Of
uh,
course. Sure.
and so forth, and just the catastrophic devastation in Asheville and Newport and so forth. Um, but again, and I bring that up because I really want to say that these are horrible and terrific experiences that are happening. We tend to want to look at as something that happened locally, but what we don't understand is that it also happened cosmically,
Yeah.
planet
Absolutely.
globally. People that just because somebody is a child or because they're a hillbilly or whatever does not mean that their purpose, that their live stream is less important or less
Correct.
effective in the supply chain. That's one of the things that is very important for us to understand right now is that it does not matter how lowly on the totem pole you think you are. Again, as we've said already, you know, everybody is equal. We're all on an equal playing field here. A
Right.
basketball court is even all the way through, and it takes the full team to win a game. You Tennessee guys, okay? We know this, right? It takes a full team to win a game. And we are all equally a full team. All what, 7, 8 billion of us now? I forget what number we're on. It's
Too
huge.
many. Too many, because we're in a sense we are running out of things, unfortunately.
We are
There, but we are running out. We have enough. There's enough of everything in this world for every single person, but there are those who are in control of all that, who are keeping it from everyone else. No one should in this world should be starving. No one should be without heat or without air conditioning, without life insurance, without car insurance, without health insurance. No one should be without anything. We could all share everything in the world. We would all still have to go to work for it, or just give it to each other, but we don't have to have this exchange of money. I mean, the
Mhm.
whole value in this world, that we think the value in this world is based on rocks and paper. You've heard of it. It's called dollar bills and gold or diamonds or silver, what have you. But the true value in this world is us, because that rocks and paper,
Mm.
those cars or those guitars and boats and airplanes, they have no value until it's in your hands. So
Right.
where's the true value lie in this world is within us. We are the true value. Everything else is just stuff. And we
Right.
need to
Because
separate ourselves from all the abundance of stuff and get back to the abundance of life. Get back to the abundance of the true value in this world, which is us.
right. Right. It goes back to the old question of if a tree falls in the woods and nobody's there to hear it, does it make a sound?
Right. It
Yeah.
does. You're just
Yeah.
not around to hear it all the time.
Right. Right. So I want us to revisit for just a moment. Um, First of all, the book. The book is like, I gotta tell you, I was so blown away by your just pure honesty in writing your story,
Yeah.
and there was no glamorizing anything.
No,
Believe me, there was
there's
nothing glamorous.
no glamorizing. I'll tell you a very quick unglamorizing story um, from part from the book, but I'll go into it in a different kind of spin on it. I meet other mediums all the time, other connected people all the time, or so they try to tell me, and I'm at these places all the time. And I'll say, "Are they talking to angels?" No, okay, they're not talking to angels. Are they? Tell me they are, but so I always ask them. I say, "So what's it feel like to be touched by an angel?" "Oh, it feels like a feather, Daniel. Oh, it's just warm." I say, "Yeah, no, I know it's not because um, with that part of like initiation thing that I was going through,
Mhm.
in order for me to be able to see, hear, feel, smell, taste, communicate with spirit as much as I do, and it's constantly progressing, I had to go through a purging period in order to be able to understand what is happening, what is taking place, and be used to it enough that it's no longer a second nature for me. It is first nature for me. I don't it's not my sixth sense. It's my first one because I'm in communication with them all the time. They're always touching me, my face. They're always telling me information. They're always bringing things to me. It doesn't ever turn off for me. It doesn't go away. So when I explain to them, well, it's not some feather. That's not because angels don't have wings because they're in no time and space. What do they need? I mean, if they had wings because they were a specific animal or something like that, because archangels are not men with wings and shields and swords by any means. They're just beings of a higher consciousness that no longer need a body. But I still see their form. When I see archangels in front of me, most of the time I see 8-foot praying mantises standing in front of me. I see some birds, I see some people, and some look like other animals, and some don't even look like people at all. Some look human, and some look humanoid, and some don't look like anything I could describe to you. Because if I did describe it to you, you would run away in fear because you think it's a monster. As well as seeing an 8-foot praying mantis in front of you, you'd go, "Oh my God, yeah, no, I just know what they are and what they do and who they are and what they do for me and everyone else. I understand it, but I have to get dedicated myself to understanding it, and that's why I have the this connection that I do. But when I was first being touched by archangels, I would see them around me, and I'd feel these cold touches all in my arms and my body, all over my entire body. But then the very next day, it was coming out of both ends. I was throwing up. I was crapping everywhere, and this would go on for 3, 4 hours,
Mhm.
and then I would be okay, feel a little bit better, and I would recuperate, from it, and then 2 weeks later, it would happen again. They would do the same thing, where they'd do all the cold touches, and they were working on my soul so that I could see them, hear them, feel them, communicate with them better, everything, so I could get everything that I get then and still continue to get now. And this went on for 3 years, people. So when anyone tells me, "Oh, I was touched by an angel and it feels like this," I'm telling you, you're full of crap. You are not touched by an angel. You just don't understand it and you don't recognize it and you actually just don't know. When I just told you, that's the way that it happens. And if that is not happening to you, you are not being touched by an angel. You are not being touched by an archangel. Why? Because their energy is so strong, even for them to lower their energy enough to physically touch you, it is going to jar your system like you are the world and you just had an earthquake. That is what it's like. And if you're
Mhm.
not experiencing that, it's not happening to you. But it's not going to happen for most people. Why? Because this is not what's meant for you. Again, you're not meant to, not everyone is meant to be a medium. Not everyone is meant to be an empath. Not everyone is meant to be a psychic. Not everyone is meant to be a Reiki master healer. It's not meant for everyone. It's just meant for some. Again, some of us are meant to be teachers, others are meant to be students. If it's not happening in that way, like I just described, then it's not happening. But that doesn't mean your life isn't worth anything. Your life is worth everything. Your value is worth everything. It's just worth differently. But we're all meant to be here. That's what you need to pay attention to. You're meant to be here. You're meant to do something. You're meant to fulfill that purpose. You are meant to learn your lessons. And hopefully, at some point, you'll get it all done so you can go home and stay home and not have to repeat this ever again. But yeah, if that's not happening to you, I'm telling you. I did a podcast with a girl and she said, "Oh yeah, I got touched. It felt like a feather, Daniel." I said, "No, that's that didn't happen." And once I explained everything to her, she said, "No, that didn't happen." I said, "Yeah, you were not being touched by an angel." "Oh, okay." So, yeah, I know I'm very graphic about what I talk about, but all the rainbows and unicorn stuff, all the everything is love and light stuff, that's not real life. That is not what's
Yeah.
actually taking place in this world. That stuff is a bunch of bull crap. Stop listening to that. You want the answers? I have the answers for you, but I'm going to give it to you in a real human way because that's the way that it actually is. So, yeah, if again, if you're not experiencing what I just said, you're not having an angel. It's not like the TV show Touched by an Angel or something like that. It's not like that at all. That's a ridiculous. It Again, this is God type energy that is happening, and you think he's just going to touch you, and it's like, oh, now I'm going to fart out rainbows and stuff like that. No, that's not going to take place. It's just not. It takes a very long time to be conditioned in order to get what I get. And I get touched on the face on my face. One I used to be one here and one here on the top of my eyebrows by 2 archangels, and that's a yes answer. And then it's a no answer. It feels like a tear running down my face, and sometimes I get a double no and I feel go, "All right," like that, for something really strong. But that was in the beginning. Even when I wrote the book I mentioned, I was being touched by 16 different archangels. Now it's 75. And 3 of them just came in, just, about 2 weeks ago. So, that's the progression of it, but my ability progresses all the time. You don't just get one thing and say, "Oh, I was being touched by an angel. Oh, it's a feather," and one thing. No, this is a dedication. This is something that you will do, that you are. This isn't something you just walk around and take for granted for. Even being any type of medium or any type of practitioner within this, This is what you do. This is what you are. This is what you will be
Yeah.
doing the rest of your life until you take your last breath and leave and get out of here. That's what you are. That's who you are. And that's what you will be doing. You don't go, oh, and then walk around and go, let me take 1,000 selfies and look how wonderful I am. No, the only thing you are is what I used to be before the angel touched me, which was full of shit. Because after they touched me, I was no longer full of shit because it all came out. Just joking. But anyway, yeah, yeah, that's what you are. You're lying to yourself. You're kidding yourself. You are fooling yourself. The people who do this is not a glamorous lifestyle. I
Yeah.
don't go out and hang out at parties all the time. I don't walk around and be in all these crowds of people. I am home a lot because I can't stand to be around all that negativity that is out there. I have to they shield me from it, but I don't want to be within it. So I'm not walking around with a camera crew following me around, being on some of those TV mediums. Look how wonderful my life is, and I'm so special. No, I mean the one from Manhattan or Long Island, whatever the hell her name was, if she was so special, how come on the TV show she got divorced from her husband? And if she was so special, how come she didn't know it ahead of time?
Right.
Right. Because she's not telling you the truth. Okay. Don't fall for the circus shows. Don't fall for the, oh, I'm going to go see her. And at this big stadium, there's 80,000 people there, and five people get red. And then the other 79,995 people just paid a ticket to watch the show. While she drives around in a BMW all day and you're eating noodles and noodles because you can't
Mm.
afford anything else, but you pay for that $250 ticket to go see her and have her lie to you. Don't pay attention to that stuff. Don't pay attention to the oh, I'm a channeler and I'm gonna do this beautiful voice that's coming out of me and I'm a channeler. No, they are full of crap. They are not channeling, they are putting on a Vegas act so that you'll
Yeah.
believe it. Don't be my wife and I watched one of those one time, and it had 8, it was on a History Channel, it was 8 people, oh, no, I'm sorry, it was on Gaia, and it was 8 people, and every one of them came on, "Oh, I'm channeling this," and then the other person come on, "I'm getting," every time one came on, I looked at my wife and said, "No, that one's not channeling. Nope, that one's not channeling. Yep, yep, this one is channeling. That no, that guy is definitely not channeling." It was 4 of them that were actually doing it, the other 4 were it was a ruse. You really got like Daniel said, do your homework. Go out and investigate. That's the basis of my book. It's go out and find your people. Find the people who are going to accept you for who you are, but go out and find the real people who are actually the people who are humble, who have, you know, are humanity here. They're humble about what they do. They're not walking around needed to be pat on the back for everything they do. And look how wonderful and special I am. No, you go out and find the people who are like myself, who are just trying to educate you, who are going to tell you the realistic version of everything. Because everything else is TV and movies, it's Hollywood stuff. That's don't pay attention to that stuff. Don't pay attention to the ones who go, "Oh, you have archangel, you have angels with you. You have guardian angels with you." Anytime they start telling you you have guardian angels with you take your money, you stand your ass up, you turn around and you walk away. They are lying to you. Anytime a medium says, "Oh, I can absolutely get a hold of your mom and dad," they are lying to you because if a spirit wants to talk to you, they will. If they don't, they won't. Now, they may send in another soul, another uncle or something like that, that, "Oh, I don't like my uncle." Well, where they are now, they don't hold any grudges anymore. Let that stuff go. So, they may, but if they say, "Oh, I can absolutely get a hold of your mom," or if you go to the shows and they're doing a fishing act where they're like, "Okay, I hear a John." Uh, how many people in this world are named John? Okay.
Mm,
Oh, and John wears flannel shirts. How many people in this world wear flannel shirts? And John has a he's a truck driver. How many people in this world are truck drivers? Yeah. So what they do is they're throwing out this fishing. They're throwing out the line to see who they can get hooked. Oh, and then somebody goes, "Oh yeah, my dad's name was John. He wore flannel shirts and he was a truck driver. Oh, that's who it is. I got your dad now." No, walk away.
mhm,
It's not about that whatsoever.
mhm.
It's about getting answers for you that are going to help you and not getting an answer from your mom and dad that, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so proud of you." Or, "Oh, the secret special message. Oh, I wanted to tell you the money's inside the walls. The money is inside the walls. I hid it in there just for you." No, they don't care about that. What they care about you doing is getting your life together, getting your act together, getting yourself away from all the negativity in the world and getting yourself straight where you can go home and stay home, where you can learn all your lessons, fulfill your purpose, go home and stay home and be with them forever. And why? You're not just going to see the 2 or 300 people that you met here when you go home. You're going to know
Right.
everybody because you're related to everybody and you're connected to everything. And if you have those mediums out there who are telling you, "Oh, yeah, you're gonna see your mom and dad, and it's gonna be so wonderful," just because they are your mom and dad there, and if you didn't get along with them here, you don't have to hang out with them there. If you want to, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. You can now go live your life uninterrupted. That's what you can do. But all this egotistical stuff here that we have going on here, it's a diversion, so that you don't realize how much power and control you have over yourself and how without having to live under the thumb of everyone else telling you how much power and control they have over you.
Mhm.
Learn to let that shit go, walk away, get it figured out, get your lessons learned, fulfill your purpose, and go home and don't come back here ever again. Please.
Right. Right. Yeah, it is definitely a path of self-empowerment.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that if someone is telling you differently, run, run.
Run.
Exactly. You know, I gotta tell you, Daniel, I really appreciate you, and I appreciate this conversation today.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you
I
for
was,
having me. Appreciate you.
thank you. Yeah, because I gotta tell you, like I told you before we even started, I was a little nervous about this one. I'm
Where's
always a
that
little nervous.
where's that
I'm,
nerves now?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
gone.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I'm always a little nervous with most people, but like this was a bit of a different case, and I think part of that was because our early life experiences were so similar, and you have reached a level where I'm still going in a sense. And I got a couple of years on you, so I'm like thinking, I thought to myself, wow, this is
As
really
they're
a
as
wake up
they're telling
call.
me as they're telling me, you're not too far off.
Good. That's good.
You are very, there's, fear, no, doubt, um, there's just a little bit of a block there. It's not any fear, it's not any doubt whatsoever. It's just a little bit of worry of what is actually coming after of the point where you are now.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
Let it go.
right.
Yeah, because it's big.
Exactly.
Because it's a hump. It's just a hump. Once you get over that hump, it's just gonna open up, and you're just gonna be like, you're gonna have, like, a constant state of goosebumps, just going, "Holy mackerel, this is awesome." So, don't worry about it. You'll be
Right,
there. You're there.
right. Thank you. I appreciate that. Um, one more time, let's have a little bit about your book and where people can get a hold of you, especially for any service.
Sure. I'm a great hugger, so that's a good service. Yeah, I'm not too bad to hang out with. I got jokes. That's a good service. Um, yeah, yeah, been on a bunch of them here. If they want to find me, they can find me for a reading at spiritmediumdaniel.com. One long word, spiritmediumdaniel.com. Spell it Daniel. Don't spell it Danielle because people mess that up. But it's spiritmediumdaniel.com. DANIEL. And you can also find my book on Amazon. Just put in the search bar, Daniel Jackson, The New Beginning, My Awakening as a Spirit Medium. Yeah, and if you do buy a book, please absolutely put a review on there. The reviews do help in a way where you have to have so many reviews on there in order for your book or your product to be relevant to people to come up on the page. As soon as you put in Daniel Jackson, it would come up right away, or Spirit Medium Daniel, something like that. It will come up right away. So please absolutely do that. Again, if you want to join my group, Spirit Medium Daniel group, you're welcome to do that. But just please have the best intentions of wanting to do that because I'm going to pick up on those intentions, whatever they may be, and that will depend. And whatever they may be is depending upon you getting into that group or not. I think I have a little over like 190 or 200, might be 200 and something, 215, something like that members right now. I've had many people try to come on, but no. So, but everyone is welcome to try. You can find me on YouTube everywhere. And but then I also have a podcast called Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson. Me, Daniel Jackson. That's how I started
Mhm.
out. I'm kind of goofy like that. At the end of my show, I always say, "Be good and don't do any stupid shit." But if you do, don't get caught. Uh, but uh, but my show is on YouTube. I'm about to actually do a commercial for that today. Whereas we have stopped production of that show on YouTube because I have recently signed up with a brand new to be seen spiritual network that's going to be coming out called Ethereal TV, and so all my new content will now be on that show, on that network, and that network will be seen on Roku and Fire TV. So we're just waiting for everything to go live with that. But so all my new content will some of the shows from the previous videos I had will be on there, but they've been re-edited. And then you'll see a different background, but this is my new background. But yeah, we have a lot more new content coming out. It'll be in half-hour format where the other show would be like this, going for a couple hours. So, but yeah, you'll be able to find it on etherealtv.net. Again, it hasn't gone live yet, so it is one of those pay networks. It is in the vein of like a Gaia and or Discovery Channel, but it is a strictly uplifting spiritual network. Not just my show, but there are many other shows that are on there as well. And so, yeah, you'll be able to find me there. Um, yeah, all over YouTube. Just put in Spirit Medium Daniel Jackson. You will find my face everywhere. Yeah, I'm out there more. I'm more out there than an old whore. That's for sure. Uh, yeah. So if you're looking for, I do. There's a lot of the interviews are the same, but a lot of them aren't. Some interviews you'll see me do that I'm reading someone from the show, and well, you'll see for yourself. I can't make this shit up. It's the real deal. So it happens a lot. But my final word of everything out there in the world is have trust and faith within yourself to do whatever you want to do, and don't judge anybody. When you see them coming at you, and you look at them and you go, "Oh, I don't like their shoes. I don't like their shirt." You know what? Again, think to yourself, have a self inventory of yourself, and think of all the crap you've been through in your entire life, and then look back at that person and say, you know what? Maybe they're going through something too, because everyone is going through something. You just don't know about it. And then bite your tongue and walk away. But what I really love to do throughout my day is when I go to a store, I notice how people are always trying to avoid each other. Let me get out of the way. You know what I do? I walk right in front of them and I go, hello. And they go, oh, hi, how are you? I'm good. How are you doing? And right there, you just changed their day. You can do it. Everyone can do it. You just got to
Right,
want to do it.
right. Definitely.
And that's it for
Good,
me.
good words of wisdom. If you will hang out for just a moment, and I will, I'm going to close out the show, and I'll touch base with you before we end out
Absolutely.
the day. Awesome. Wow. All right. There we have it. Daniel Jackson. I gotta tell you guys, this y'all already know. For me to go over an hour, maybe an hour and a half, is unprecedented. I think I've only done that one other time in the history of the show. Um, good vibes, good messages, good person. I want you guys to remember this show is airing on Tuesday. Thursday will be the first real installment of the Paranormal Journals. And then, of course, Friday, I will be doing a live broadcast with Bruhal Ryan. You guys, if you're not familiar with him, I promise you, you're going to be in for a treat. This guy, you guys liked Nana the Witch. Nana and Ryan are friends, if that tells you anything. So I will see you guys then, and may your journey always be magical.